Hello Pokemon trainers, welcome back to another Pokemon TCG Pocket video here on iStarly TV. So we got the trailer for the brand new set, which is called Extradimensional Crisis. So things are not going well in the Pokemon TCG Pocket lore because all of these sets are like, I guess all of the sets' names are just crazy basically, like Celestial Guardians, Extradimensional Crisis. It's funny, but anyway, this set, as many expected, has Ultra Beasts in it. So it's all about the Ultra Beasts. Of course, when you get Sun and Moon, one of the big aspects of those games were the Ultra Beasts. So we have a handful of Ultra Beasts here. We have a handful of new cards revealed. And of course, we're going to talk about them in this video. So first of all, a lot of the cards, and honestly, this was my first reaction when I saw them too. People are saying they're kind of mid. People are saying they're looking kind of mid. People are saying they're looking pretty weak, not very strong. I've taken another look at them, and I'm a little bit higher on them than I was. But let's talk about whether or not these cards are good with the limited amount of information we have available to us. Because, of course, this happens all the time. I feel like this has been happening a lot lately where for the... what was it called? The Shining Revelry. There's so many sets now, it's hard to keep track. For Shining Revelry, for example, a lot of people said that a lot of the cards were very weak. And some people slept on Giratina. Of course, Giratina's probably the best Pokemon in the game at the moment. It's just really, really powerful. But anyway, my point is that this kind of tends to happen a lot where people are like, this doesn't look very good. And then in practice, it actually ends up being better. And of course, with the context of the full set. So let's start with Buzzwole EX here. So this is one where I looked at it and I was like, that looks kind of weak. So for 2 energy, it does 30. Of course, this is a basic Pokemon, 140 HP. It's an Ultra Beast, which is important to note. If you look at the top right, towards the top right of the card, it has this Ultra Beast little tag. So all of the Ultra Beasts are Ultra Beasts. I know that sounds stupid to say, but that'll become important, and I think that'll be more important than we might realize. And then for 3 energy, 2 grass, and a colorless, it has the move Big Beat, which does 120 damage, but you cannot use this attack next turn. So it's reminiscent of like the original Leafeon card, which never really saw any play, but it did like 90 damage for 2 energy, and then you could not use that attack the next turn. And I kind of wanted to try that out when it first came out, but it ended up not being very good. But anyway, this is interesting. I think the big thing to note with Buzzwole is it is a grass type. Again, it is an Ultra Beast, but it also has access to like Erica and Leaf Cape to become a lot more tanky, which can be interesting. And 120 damage for 3 energy is not awful. Again, doing that and then just not being able to do it the following turn could be a problem, but if you go Punch into Big Beat, that's 150 damage, which KOs most Pokemon in the meta. Maybe not most Pokemon in the meta now that we're in a stage 2 meta where a lot of things have 170 HP, but it can still do some pretty decent damage. And it's a basic, which of course, they can't make these too broken, right, Giratina? Right, Darkrai? Either way, I don't know that this card is super exciting, but it's something. It does something. It's yet another stage 1, or I'm sorry, basic Grass EX, which, whatever. Let me know in the comments what you think of Buzzwole, because I do think it's a somewhat controversial card. Let's talk about the other EX, or rather the other Ultra Beast EX that they revealed. Now, this is likely to be a smaller set, so we are not going to get as many EXs as we did. Of course, Celestial Guardians had, like 10 or so EXs? So this one should have, about 5-ish, maybe 6, I don't know. Whatever the usual amount for a smaller set is. I guess Shining Revelry was a little bit of an outlier. I don't know. Either way, my point is, we're probably not going to get too many EX Pokemon, and we now know 3 of them, so there probably aren't too many more to be revealed. Anyway, the other Ultra Beast EX is Guzzlord EX, and this one actually looks really strong. It's a basic, and it has 170 HP, and then it has 2 moves. One is called Grindcore. For 2 energy, you flip until you get Tails, and for each heads, you discard a random energy from the active enemy Pokemon. This is basically the Team Rocket grunt on an attack, which is really powerful. 2 energy, 30 damage, and you're always doing 30 damage no matter what. And then finally, its last ability, tyrannical whole. Oh God, I'm so sorry. That word is just so funny to me these days. I can't take it seriously. But anyway, Guzzlord's tyrannical attack for 4 energy total. That's 3 dark and a colorless. It does a simple 120 damage. So you can kind of compare this to Buzzwole, where Buzzwole only requires 3 damage to do 120 with a drawback. This requires 4 energy to do 120, but there's no drawback. I guess the drawback is that it's so expensive. But this looks like a strong... I mean, it's like a massive tank. Like, this is... Correct me if I'm wrong. I think this is the first basic EX with 170 HP. I think up until now, all the EX basic Pokemon had a maximum of 150. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm probably missing something, but that's powerful in and of itself. It also slots into a deck with an already really powerful EX Pokemon in the form of Darkrai. So, I don't know. This I think is going to be really strong, and just the simple fact that it's so tanky. And worst case scenario, you're just sitting there sponging damage early and just spamming Grindcore and potentially knocking off some of their energy to set them back. Like, that's pretty good. And then eventually you just get to the 4 energy and you just do 120 out of nowhere. So I guess not out of nowhere, but yeah, Guzzlord EX I think looks really powerful. Let me know what you think in the comments. A few other cards. I'm not going to talk about every single one here. I guess we'll talk about the other EX that was revealed while we're at it. This is Tapu Koko EX. I love Tapu Koko. It's one of my favorite Gen 7 Pokemon. I think it's really cool. I'm really happy that it gets an EX. It's 130 HP, basic electric EX. For 1 energy, you have Plasma Hurricane. It does 20 damage, and you take an electric energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. And then for 3 energy, it does 90 damage, Mach Bolt. So of course, you play Koko, you attack with Plasma Hurricane, that puts an extra energy on it, and then the following turn you can attack with your 90 damage move. This one, I mean, of course, we should all learn our lesson by now. A card that can put energy onto itself is usually very strong. I guess one example of a card that isn't that great is Leafeon EX. That does something similar, but, you know, Magneton, Giratina, other cards like this have been very powerful. And, I mean, this fits in a Magneton deck, right? I don't know. So, I love this card, or I love Tapu Koko. We'll see how it plays out. I mean, it feels like we're just kind of getting saturated with these, like, basic EX Pokemon. We have plenty of basic electric EX Pokemon, and they typically can do about 80 or 90 damage for just, like, 2 energy, but they have some drawbacks, or they have some, like, specific requirements that they have to get to. This is a little more straightforward and a little more simple. I don't think this is going to be, like, a meta-defining card, but I do think it could see play. I don't know. At the same time, like, the meta we're in right now, I mean, the other 2 EXs, in my opinion, look stronger. And also, you know, we're in a meta where you can get 170 HP that does 120 damage for 2 energy out of nowhere, or like, you know, Solgaleo. Any stage 2 is like really powerful. So who knows how this will play out? It just kind of doesn't look like it competes in power level with a lot of what's going on in the meta, but who knows? Maybe it will. I'm not going to doubt it just yet. I'm gonna try it out if I open these, but again, it's just something. All right, let's talk about a few more things. Let's talk about Lusamine, which is a supporter that was revealed. And Lusamine says, choose one of your Ultra Beasts, attach 2 random energy from your discard pile to that Pokemon. Now, most notably, there's a line of text that's a little easy to miss. The first line of text actually says, you can use this card only if your opponent has gotten at least 1 point. So you cannot use this card right away. You have to wait until your opponent has gotten at least 1 point, which is of course really risky and definitely makes this card a lot worse. Of course, what this card simply does is very, very powerful, but there are some restrictions. Again, you have to get the energy from your discard pile. So even if your opponent knocks out one of your Pokemon and then you want to use Lusamine, but you don't have any energy in your discard pile, you can't use it. So I don't know. I'm sure this will probably play out a lot more easier than it looks. But at the moment, it just looks like there's too many restrictions on the card, which there should be. But it looks like there's just too many restrictions on the card to, like, make it, like, clean, if that makes sense. So, like, it's not like I can just play Buzzwole and then play Lusamine and just ramp up my energy. I have to wait till my opponent gets a prize, and I also have to wait till I've put in some energy in my discard pile. So let me know your thoughts about Lusamine. A few other EXs. Again, Guzzlord and Buzzwole are the only EX Ultra Beasts we've seen so far. Some of the other EXs are kind of basic. I'll talk about a couple that I think look pretty good. The rest of them I don't think are particularly great, but Niiliggo, 70 HP, Dark type basic, it's an Ultra Beast, and it has an ability where your opponent's active Pokemon takes plus 10 damage from poison, and this does not have to be in the active spot for this to trigger. So even if this is on your bench, and personally I've been playing a lot of not Weezing EX, but I've been playing a lot of Weezing decks in Ranked, and I've been enjoying it. So this is really good with Weezing because Niiliggo can be on your bench and Weezing can be on the front, and it can poison them with its ability, and then they take 20 damage. So that's really powerful. And then it has a move, New Wave, 2 energy for 30 damage, not great, but it does poison the enemy. So it effectively does 50 that first turn. You know, you do 30 and then you pass the turn, and then they take 20 from the poison. So that's kind of decent. For 2 energy though, I mean, it's okay. I have personally been looking for another basic Dark type Pokemon, so maybe I'll be playing this as well. Celesteela is another one, 120 HP, it's colorless, which is nice. It has 4 retreat cost. Of course, this is a basic, but its ability is really good. Ultra Thrusters. Once during your turn, you may switch your active Ultra Beast with one of your benched Ultra Beasts. So this is yet another card that cares about Ultra Beasts. I'm sure we're going to have plenty of cards in the set that say, like, if you have an Ultra Beast, do this. And that's where the fact that a lot of these Ultra Beasts look mid is gonna probably be diminished a little. Like, I think they'll be better than they look because there will be cards that give you a bonus for Ultra Beasts. And Celesteela for 3 energy does 100 damage, but you have to flip a coin, and if tails, it does nothing. So I was thinking about it. There used to be a time, a long time ago in this game, where a simple basic Pokemon with 120 HP would see play, simply for the fact that it's 120 HP basic. Those days are long gone, but maybe this could see play because it's colorless. And again, it makes your other Ultra Beasts a little bit better. Finally, 2 more cards I want to talk about that are not Ultra Beasts, but are really interesting. We have Zeraora and Shiinotic. So let's start with Shiinotic. Shiinotic is a Psychic type, and it's a stage 1, obviously. It's 90 HP. It has the ability Illuminate. Once during your turn, you may put a random Pokemon from your deck into your hand. And then for 2 colorless energy, it does 40 damage. So this, I mean, people are saying like, oh, this could go in like any deck, which technically, yes, it could. I mean, it's still a stage 1 that's not very powerful aside from the ability, but yeah, I mean, this is a really powerful effect. You can grab literally any Pokemon from your deck. It's random, of course, but you can grab an EX Pokemon, you can grab an evolution that you need. I mean, it's just a free card. It gives you free cards. So we'll see how powerful it ends up playing out. Another really interesting thing is I believe the Mallow supporter from the most recent set, she heals all damage from Shenotic and Serena, but you have to discard all energies. I've been using Mallow when I play my Serena decks, and it's really powerful. So there could be a situation where you play Mallow with this. Maybe you also play this in a Serena deck. I don't know. But I mean, that effect is really strong. It'll be interesting to see where people play it because it's yet another form of card advantage in a game where card advantage is kind of lacking. I mean, Pokeball and Research are basically staples of literally any deck. And then we have things like Iono or Communication, but it's rare that we have additional effects of card advantage. So maybe, and by card advantage, I mean just like the ability to get extra cards. And so maybe the fact that this can do that can give you an advantage over your opponents if you're playing this card. But at the same time, you're never going to want to attack with this. If you're attacking with this thing, it feels really bad, but let me know what you think about Shiinotic. I'm really interested in hearing. Finally, we have Zeraora, 90 HP. For 2 energy, 2 lightning energy, it does 50 damage, Lightning Claw. Not very good. However, it has an ability, Thunderclap Flash. At the end of your first turn, take an electric energy from your energy zone and attach it to this Pokemon. So this can kind of power itself up like instantly. Not exactly instantly because it has to go at the end of your first turn, and it's only at the end of your first turn, so this does not trigger every single turn. But if you're going first with this card, it's really good because it mitigates the downside of going first, where you don't get to put energy until the following turn. So if you play this right away, you know, and you're going first, then on the end of your turn, you put an energy on it. The following turn, you put another energy, and you're doing 50 damage. That's pretty strong. Not sure exactly where it'll fit. I mean, that's a strong ability, and it only technically requires 1 energy. I guess at the same time, if you don't draw this in your opening hand, like if you don't start the game with this card, you don't get the effect. So that's the big drawback to this card. So I'm really interested in seeing where this goes. It's a cool card. It's powerful. Zeraora is an awesome Pokemon, so I'm definitely down to try it myself. But let me know what you think. And I think that's mainly it. I mean, we got a good handful of cards. Some of them look mid, some of them look cool and interesting. Let me know in the comments what you think of these new cards. Are there any cards I did not talk about that I missed that are really, really exciting? Let me know in the comments. I'm really interested in hearing your thoughts. By the way, I didn't say this, I don't think, but this set is coming out May 29th, so a week from today, a week from the making of this video. So very, very soon the set is coming out. I'm sure we'll get more information as the days go on, and I'm really, really excited. How many pack points are you saving up? Or not pack points, hourglasses are you saving up for this new set? And how hyped are you? I'll see you next time.